See, Medvedev is saying things that I've mentioned on this show for the longest, and he's just brought it up in the escalation between Russia and, I wouldn't really say Ukraine, but between Russia and the United States and NATO in Ukraine. Ukraine is just the battleground. Ukraine is providing the bodies, but the stoking of tensions and the provocations of war is being done by America and the West. So it is more apt to say, or aptly to say, that the war is between the United States / NATO and Russia in Ukraine, okay? Now, Medvedev said this. Let me bring this up real quick. This is the headline of the article. He says, Russia could arm North Korea if South sends weapons to Ukraine, Medvedev. Stop right there. Haven't we been saying this for the longest on this show? What Russia should do is openly escalate, openly destroy this aura of invincibility and exceptionalism by doing unto America and NATO what they have done so generously to others. We've been saying this for the longest on this platform. Now, it's amazing. Maybe he listens to the platform, and maybe they're now trying to take note of what I'm saying. A bully only knows how to stop, pause, or back up if you confront them in a meaningful way. Now, for so long, it has been the exclusive prerogative of America and NATO to provide weapons, arms, and armaments to nations that they deem their proxies or their servants around the globe. This should no longer be the case because you see where it has gotten us. So if America wants to openly arm the Kurds, Russia should up the arms to Syria. If Israel wants to bomb Syria, Russia should, because Israel is providing weapons to Ukraine, Russia should provide Syria with weapons and put a Russian base close to the occupied area that of the Golan, and staff it with Iranians, Hezbollah, and Syrian forces, and put S-400s, Panzers, and bulk systems there, right? And then in its western flank in Syria, do the same thing. And in its eastern flank, do the same thing. And in the northern flank, do the same thing. And then in the middle of Syria, do the same thing. And immediately, upon a missile strike through Lebanon into Syria, Assad should hit Israel back with a double strike. For every destroyed building, we're going to destroy 2 to 3 of yours. For every killed soldier, we're going to kill 10 of yours. For every killed civilian, people say, it's not right to kill civilians. Well, it's not right if Israel kills them. So what makes your civilians more valuable than mine? If you have no respect for the life of my civilians, and they are a part of the Syrian Arab state, then when I hit you back, I can't be concerned about whether Israeli citizens are hit. What's good for the goose, as we say here, has to be good for the gander. When America escalates and announces billion-dollar packages for Ukraine, Russia should immediately announce that they are going to arm Cuba to the teeth. But before they announce it, they have warships already there, warplanes already there, just in case the United States tries to make a move on Cuba. Cuba is between 90 and 100 miles away from the United States. That is further away than Ukraine is from Russia. And America has no problem in putting bases there, biolabs there, doing training there, putting missiles there, drones there, and arming Nazis there. So why should I have any concern about whether or not you agree, whether or not that I'm going to arm the Cuban armed forces and the Cuban government to the teeth? And why should it matter, since you say that every nation has the right to arm itself and every nation has the right to choose its own path, and every nation is a sovereign nation? So Cuba is a sovereign nation, and it's further away from you than Ukraine is from me. If I was Russia, this would be my thinking. So every time you escalate, we would double and triple up on the escalation. And then when you decide to start trouble in Moldova and in Georgia, I will arm Venezuela and Brazil and Argentina. Then I would go into Honduras and offer them a pack, Panama and offer them a pack. So every time you do it, you'll see that you are not the global hegemon or the power that you once thought you were. And if I can do it, my unspoken ally would do it. We would already work this thing out. I'm going to put a base here, but financially, I can't put it here. How about if they escalate more? Because you know if they get me, they're coming after you in Taiwan. So when I do this, we'll escalate it. And we'll escalate and make sure, and every time we escalate, we will point to American arrogance, intransigence, hubris, and hypocrisy. That is the way to make her stop, pause, and think. Okay, if we wage war, if we invade Cuba, there are Russian forces there. They can rebuff us for about a week or two on the Cuban island. And if we go too far, they can launch nuclear missiles. I don't have to place nuclear missiles in Cuba. I can send nuclear-armed submarines and nuclear-armed warships there on a permanent basis. So if you want a Cuban missile crisis in Ukraine, I'm going to put one back on your doorsteps. Because if you're focused on your doorsteps, you're too busy focusing on you and your security instead of focusing on trying to instigate problems and divisions over in my neighborhood. I guarantee you, if you were starting trouble in my neighborhood, in my house, or next door in my brother's house, and I knew that you lived in the county over, and one day I pull up there and I have a bazooka at your door, your focus would not be on my brother's doorstep anymore. Your focus would be trying to make sure that this person in my yard with a bazooka does not first fire it, and second, how do I remove this and how do I stop this from escalating? You're not going to always put the pressure on me. That's not how things work. That's not how things are going to be. If you want to put pressure, I'll put pressure on you. You can't spin into infinity and beyond anymore. The debt is too much of a burden on you, and the whole world knows it. And with people leaving the dollar, and with people working trade deals outside of the SWIFT system, you are no longer the city that sits on a hill. So the more pressure I bring to you, the more economic stress it puts on that weight-bearing load of the colonial West. So Medvedev says, and this is the article from RT, it says, the headline is, Russia could arm North Korea if South sends weapons to Ukraine, Medvedev said. The former president responded to Seoul's suggestion that it could send lethal aid to Kyiv. This should not be a suggestion. This should be an action. What does North Korea lack? Well, they lack, according to the West, robust air defense systems. Okay. Now, if I give them robust air defense systems, how can America think that she's going to bomb North Korea if war breaks out with impunity? So what I would do, I would go with my ally, non-spoken military alliance partner, China, and I say, China, listen, I'm about to send a few Panzer systems, maybe about 3 or 4 Panzer systems, and about 1 or 2 bulk systems up in there. It's not much. But if they escalate after that, then I want you to send your versions of them there too in a boatload. You can afford it. And this will cement our friendship and our ties. And I will back you to the hill if war breaks out in Taiwan or the Taiwan Strait or the South China Sea. So I'll give is just as good as I get, right? And this would put so much pressure on the empire that she would have to rethink a lot of her policies, because remember, she may still be the preeminent military power globally, but in certain areas she's not. In Asia, she is not the preeminent power. That's China. In Eurasia, she's not the preeminent power. That's Russia. In Europe, or in Eurasia, China and Russia, excuse me. But in Europe, that's Russia. So now, if you buck up against me, you have to deal with both of us. And this is a task that you cannot do. Because we don't even have to fight a shooting war with you. I can halt all commodity sales, all resource sales, and divert them to China. China can halt all shipping and divert them to Russia and the satellite nations around and all of the global south. This would destroy the U.S. economy. This would destroy the European economy. This would set ablaze the so-called rules-based order. Right? So if you I would just be blunt about it. Stop playing around. Stop being indirect and be very vocal. And by the time I announce it, like what Medvedev said Russia could do, they would already be in there. That's what America does. We are thinking about arming Ukraine with the ATACMS. ATACMS was already there. We are the other systems, the anti-tank system, the TOW system, they were already there. The Patriot, they were already there. All of this stuff that she said she was deliberating on had already been put there. So when I deliberate on it, it's going to already be there. When I publicly deliberate on it, it'll already be there. So when I announce that we are now opening up 2 military bases on the island of Cuba, we would already be there in full strength. And when I openly state that, I would have a military base in Venezuela, Honduras, and in Panama to back up the base in Cuba. So if there's a conflict there, it would not just be those 2 bases. You understand? This is what America does. Before she acted in Ukraine, she had already acted in Kyrgyzstan, right? Kazakhstan, Georgia, right? Tajikistan, all of these color revolutions and the influx of terror. Afghanistan, she's acted in Pakistan, right? And all of the surrounding areas. So why shouldn't I do that? As thou hast done, so shall it be done unto thee. Do unto others as I would have them do unto thee. So since America is this Bible-thumping Christian nation, we'll feed her with biblical scriptures. And we'll live up to the word of Jesus. Right? And we'll see just how long that she can take that. It goes and says this. The former president responded to Seoul's suggestion that it could send lethal aid to Kiev. Moscow could offer advanced weapons to North Korea if South Korea begins to supply military aid to Ukraine, former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev has suggested. Now stop right there. If this is the case, then that does away with the little lies that the West has spread. Russia is receiving armament and missiles and ammunition from North Korea. That does away with that lie, right? If Russia is telling you that if you do this, we're going up there, we're going to arm North Korea. So that means that Russia doesn't need the armament of North Korea. And Russia didn't receive the armament of North Korea. You see, all of this shows you the lies and the depths of corruption and insanity of the Western world, the Western press, the Western military alliance.